morning and welcome to the upper deck. It is a beautiful Sunday morning here near the stadium in that, well, nothing's coming from the sky. And hopefully giants will fall from the sky and land on their back today. How you doing, Sierra?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am good. The Yankees figured out how to play baseball yesterday after, a rough couple days, and I'm hoping that continues because I can't relive what happened in Detroit. It was a rough few days of baseball, and we really needed that win yesterday. So, how are you today, Lynn?
I'm doing better after yesterday because it it was the way the week started and then to have it continue the way it did. I was just beyond myself. So thank God they were back yesterday, and let's get that rubber game and put us in a good position for who we're facing next, which we'll get to. But right off the bat, let's take a little bit of attendance here and just shout out always our early birds. So tweet to Lori and Jonathan, and we have Ken here. Good morning, FJ, Lou. We also have my sister Karen. Oh, and speaking of my sister Karen, happy birthday to my godson Phil. It's his birthday today, Karen's son Phil. We have Jordan Thaler, and Jared and Shayna and Michael. Good morning to both of you. Egyptian magician Alakazam to you. And let's see who else we got here coming in. All right, well, more are gonna come floating in, but um, yeah, Karen for sure is telling the truth there. I was saying there's no way I could do the show on Sunday without the FCC putting me in jail because I would have nothing but swear bombs. All right, so let's just start before we go into high gear. Let's just start like we always do with Spencer's trivia question of the week, and as you know, he always connects it to what's going on for the Yankees today. So the Giants being in the Bronx this weekend brings back a bad memory from 1974 when beloved Yankees outfielder Bobby Mercer, a homegrown Yankee touted as the next Mickey Mantle, was traded to the Giants for this player. Now, 1974 is way back. I was 10, and Bobby Mercer right next to Thurman Munster, those were my heroes. So I actually do remember this. So put your guesses in the chat, and we'll have the answer for you towards the end of the show. All right, so let's just start with a little breaking news. Let's get things hopping here. What do you
Yeah.
got, Sierra?
Yeah, so before we review the week and the roller coaster of a ride that we went on, let's talk about our toxic relationship with Adam Ottavino. So first of all, we signed the guy on April Fool's Day. So I don't know about anybody else, but I thought they were joking. I thought it was a joke because why would we sign Adam Ottavino? But it turned out that Devin Williams was pregnant and having a baby. So we brought him in. We designated him for assignment when Williams came back. 2 days later, we re-signed him again, and then we DFA'd him again. So I don't really know what we're doing with Adam Ottavino. I don't know where this relationship is going, but right now he is back to being a free agent after the yo-yo of a ride over the course of like 5 days with the guy. I personally don't think we need him. I don't think he's worth signing to a contract, and I think the Yankees figured that out too, and that's why they couldn't decide what to do. But he's DFA'd as of right now, so hopefully he doesn't get re-signed. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't want to see him re-signed.
No, and it's first of all, I do feel bad for Ottavino because it's just not fair to him. And the Yankees mess with enough heads. Like, leave the kid alone. He was okay outside, and you brought him back in, and then you kicked him to the curb. You're like one of those. Sarah, you said it best. It's like a toxic breakup, like that we've all probably had in some stages of our life. I want you, I don't want you, I want you, I don't want you, I love you, I hate you. Just
I just love how you called him a kid when he's like 40 years old.
he's a kid to me. I could be his mother. Young mother. Well, and just roll with the next one, Sierra.
Listen, the next one, this next piece of breaking news is the best part of my day today. Clark Schmidt will officially make his debut on Wednesday for the 2025 season. And Clark Schmidt is my favorite pitcher. Okay. So the yo-yo of I'm going to say yo-yo a lot today. the yo-yo of injuries that I've had to witness for Clark Schmidt in the past 2 seasons. I mean, I'm sure it's more frustrating for him than it is for me, but selfishly, it's been very frustrating for me. So I'm very excited to see Clark the Shark back. His 2 rehab starts have been phenomenal. Cannot wait to see him up here, especially since, and we'll definitely get into more of the starting rotation stuff later, but we need Clark Schmidt right now. Our starting rotation is killing me. It's killing my mental health. It's bad TV. It's bad. It's bad for everybody.
Yeah, it completely is, and yeah, the rotation, we could do a whole show on it, but who wants to be nauseous for 60 minutes? Um, but Schmidt is just, we want him on that wall, we need him on that wall, and you know what? He knows we need him and want him on that wall because he's unshakable, and we need that stability of mindset in our rotation stat. So all sorts of excited about Schmidt coming back up. And so being called up, let me just tell you that Alan Winans was called up because of the IL list growing, 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 bigger than the Waltons and bigger than any family ever. The family of people on the IL is just mind-boggling when you stop to think about it, and I try not to think about it. So we got Alan Winans coming on up. And also, I just want to mention this because it's fun to mention this. Another piece of breaking news is hats off to the Chicago Cubs because they shut down and shut out the Dodgers yesterday, 16-0. Oh, Tani, so
They
sorry.
beat the brakes off of them.
What?
So they beat the brakes off of them. They were just hammering away.
Yeah, so that just deserves an honorable mention, even though it had nothing to do with us. It's just good. I love a good underdog story, good Cinderella story there, except when it's against us.
Listen,
Um,
the NL in general is going to be tough this year. And I know people don't believe me when I say it, but the Cubs are coming to compete. They made the right moves in the offseason. And if they compete, Yankees fans, say goodbye to your pipe dream of Kyle Tucker because the Cubs are going to extend him. If they compete this season, they're not going to let Kyle Tucker walk out the door.
so there's that. Well, hopefully they'll cool down now, and we can get Kyle Tucker. Um, but then again, we still have the same front office, so probably wouldn't have in the first place. So I know we don't want post traumatic stress episodes here, but let's gloss through the week that was so that we can enjoy what last night was.
Okay, here we go. So it was freezing cold in Detroit. It was also cold here in Chicago, so I can guarantee it was colder in Detroit than it was here. We lost the first 2 games. We avoided the sweep, thank God, on the Wednesday. And Paul Goldschmidt, I'm going to start with him because he was like the shining bright light in Detroit. It felt like nobody was playing baseball except for Paul Goldschmidt. He ended up going 7 for 13 with a 538 batting average. And if I remember correctly, Goldschmidt, for whatever reason, just beats on Detroit in general. He has just good numbers against them. So continue that. We love that. Monday, we lost 6-2. Listen, the home plate ump wasn't good. I'm going to say that right now before anyone jumps on me. But Carlos Rodon, as a number 2 pitcher, he needs to learn how to shake things off. If you get a bad call and you give up a walk because of a bad call, you got to be able to bounce back. We're paying you so much money to be unshakable, and you're anything but that. I've tried really, really, really hard to be positive about Carlos Rodon, but I'm at the point where I don't have anything positive to say because he's not positive himself. He ended up giving up 5 runs through 6 innings. He obviously took the loss. He's 1-2 on the season. He gave up a 3-run home run to Andy Ibanez. We are not paying you to give up home runs to guys named Andy Ibanez. Like, who is Andy Ibanez? Please, somebody tell me who that is. Oswaldo Cabrera, unfortunately, did have a fielding error in this game, and this is one of the only moments this season that Waldo has really been frustrating to watch. But because of that, that allowed Jake Rogers to reach, and then allowed Henry Malloy to bring him in that inning. Ben Rice did get us on the board. No, I'm sorry, he did not get us on the board. Ben Rice excited me and then frustrated me within the matter of 30 seconds. Ben Rice hits a triple and then gets picked off at third base. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's growing pains, right? Because he's one of the young guys who's still learning. He's so fun to watch. He's been on fire. But that in that very moment, I was so frustrated watching him because it's just, I thought when Gleyber Torres left the team, our base running errors would go away. But they have not. We still have them. And he was not the only one that made a base running error in that series. So I just want to throw that out there. And then, Jazz Chisholm, he's been the bane of my existence this week. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts on Monday, which brings us into Tuesday where we lost 5-0. And Cookie Carrasco also got lit up, just like Rodon. I don't even know what to say. It was so bad. He went 4.1 innings, still better than Stroman's last start, but it's still not good. But in the 4th inning, I don't know if anybody else was watching because I know it was the middle of the day and, we all have jobs. 11 pitches. He gave up 4 home runs on 11 pitches in the 4th inning. That is insanity. So that first start where Cookie looked great and he proved us all wrong. Well, this second start was trash and he's 1-1 now. There's nothing else really to say because we didn't score, but Ian Hamilton did return that day. So shout out to Ian Hamilton for being back. And then Wednesday, we finally won a game on Wednesday. We didn't get swept. So thank God. That was the game that if you watched the game, that was the one that you wanted to watch because Tariq Skubal, obviously we know not Skubal, Jack Flaherty. Obviously, we know he's an ace pitcher, right?
Yeah.
We hit him in the World Series, but he's still a good pitcher. Watching Flaherty and Fried go toe-to-toe, Fried ended up winning the battle with 11 strikeouts. He definitely earned his pinstripes that day. He went 7 whole innings, which none of our other starting pitchers are doing that, so shout out to him. He gave up 5 hits, but he didn't have any earned runs. And like I said, 11 Ks. Ben Rice, again, so fun to watch. 2-run home run. But here's where things get interesting. So Judge hit a 2-run single, which this is the most important part of the game because then Devin Williams comes in, and I thought Clay Holmes was on the mound. I thought Clay Holmes was pitching because Devin Williams didn't even finish the inning. Boone had to pull him because he was blowing it. We ended up winning 4-3, which was insanely frustrating because we were up 4-0. But I also want to say this to anyone that watched the game. There was a wild pitch, but I feel like Austin Wells was very, very lazy on that pitch and didn't do a good job at blocking it. And I feel like there was some communication issues there. I'm not ready to give up on Devin Williams. It's so early in the season and it's been so cold out, but he's been incredibly frustrating to watch. So moving forward, I just need the Devin Williams that has been the best closer in baseball for the last, 2 years or whatever. I don't know if Pete Alonso truly broke this guy last year in the playoffs, but we ended up winning. So whatever. At the end of the day, we didn't get swept. And then we were off on Thursday.
Thank God. We all needed it. Because who watched the game even though they were working during the day? Yeah, I wanted to be in on the misery. So what does that tell you about me? But you know what? Devin Williams, I'm going to say, is a great example why I say, and will say forever today, we got to manage our expectations. When somebody comes in with this fanfare, there we are, thinking the second coming has occurred. And it's just, no, everybody is going to have these moments regardless of who you are. And this happened to be the moment and hopefully one of few. But there'll be more moments like that. It doesn't mean that he's not all that he was touted to be. We see it. We saw it, we saw it come back yesterday. after making us, wanted to make us nervous first, but then it all it ended fine. So as always, manage our expectations there, and so um, yeah, we'll get to let's
To
get
that
to Friday
disaster on
because we can't avoid it.
So when I was doing our notes, I just put ha 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 ha
Yes,
because like
I
I
can,
didn't even know.
I can verify that. I'm looking at it right now. Ha 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 ha.
I didn't even know what to say because listen, I've obviously been one of the biggest Marcus Stroman supporters, but in that moment, I was like, get this guy off my team. I cannot watch this all season. You can't even go a full inning. Like the weather was terrible, yes, and the Giants, they Robbie Ray, he didn't even have his best stuff either. But the difference was the Giants were teeing off of Marcus Stroman and we weren't hitting Robbie Ray. Like that was the huge difference. But 30 seconds into the game, I was like, please get Marcus Stroman off this mound. I cannot do this today. Thankfully, for all of our sanity, the game ended up getting called, but it was too late. We had already lost at that point. We lost 9-1. Freaking embarrassing. We have, again, guys who I've never, and I say this sarcastically, but guys who I've never heard of who are probably McDonald's workers are hitting home runs. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Stroman, it was just so frustrating. He went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, which I'm surprised he even got a strikeout because that's not, whatever. And we only scored 1 run off of an Austin Wells double. So that's how Friday went.
And here, as a side note, here's a little rant of mine. I do not understand why they didn't call the game when they legally could have. Boone was making the case before that. Boone was, even before it really could be officially called, he was calling it. And it was that was very frustrating to me, and I know it's a little bit hypocritical of me to say because I went on and on about, oh, little snow, what's your problem, it's weather, can't you run in mud, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, this was, first of all, everyone was leaving the house. And it just wasn't like mercy already, but the guess the manager of the Giants said, "Oh no, we want to go continue." And Kay had a really good point in the booth. He said, "Well, of course he wants to make that pen as tired and spent and used up as possible for tomorrow's game." And I think he's probably spot on with that because they had already proved the point they were going to win no matter what. So, but I don't get it. So that's my rant on the umpires.
Yeah, and Boone had said after the game that all the years that he's been in MLB, like playing, coaching, whatever, that those are the worst conditions he's ever seen. So I think most people thought the game was going to get canceled before it even started. And like when we were watching the game, you could see the rain pouring down. Like that's how bad it was. With that being said, Boone also made some remarks about Stroman in the post game. So this is where my frustration comes in, right? So Stroman said that his knee was bothering him. So my question is, did Stroman say this before his start? And if so, like if this is a true injury, right? If Stroman mentioned this before his start, did the Yankees do what the Yankees do best and ignore an injury? Because we know that's, we do that. Or are we just saying that to cover our own asses because he looked that bad? Because if this is either way, if it's a phantom IL or if we just ignored an injury, it looks bad for the Yankees altogether. I watched a breakdown on Marcus Stroman's pitches. Matt Blake, if Stroman comes off the IL and continues with the Yankees, if they don't DFA him or phantom IL him for longer or find a way to get rid of him, and he's in this rotation, Matt Blake needs to work with this man and figure out, get his confidence back. Because if you watch him pitch, there's zero confidence there. He's nibbling too much. He's not a strikeout guy. We all know it. He knows it. So I don't know why he's trying to nibble. It's very, very annoying. But I guess that's the end of my rant. Like that, they got to figure it out.
Yeah, they have so much to figure out. And so at least yesterday was fun. I'm hoping that today will be fun also. And so shout out to Will Warren, first MLB win. I'm sure we'll be talking about him a lot in the next segment as well. But Jazz, Sierra, Jazz, what is up with this man? He was old reliable. Yeah.
Listen, I want to say that I am hashtag Team Jazz, but since calling MLB fans idiots, Jazz is 2 for 34. Jazz leads the team in strikeouts right now with 23, which Volpe's in second place with 15. So Jazz has 8 more strikeouts than the next guy behind him. I don't know what's going on with Jazz. I know we're what 14, 15 games into the season, so I don't want to like jump off a bridge yet, but this can't be something that continues. Like it has to be figured out because I know I'm so conflicted about this, but like we're so early in the season, right? So you don't want to like kill guys, but at the same time, we don't know what we're going to look like in August, and every little game could help or hurt us at this point. Especially because when it comes to the AL, the Houston Astros are going to be an annoying pain in the ass no matter what. They could have the
Yep.
worst start ever, and they'll still be a thorn in your side. The
Yep.
Boston Red Sox are terrifying. I don't care what their record says right now. Look on paper, they are terrifying. They have a great pitching staff, and when their batters are hitting, Devers, Abreu, they are going to be hard to deal with. And I hate to even say this because it sounds crazy saying out loud, but the Toronto Blue Jays just locked up Vladdy.
Yep.
And the way that they structured his contract, they will be able to get other players and compete. Whether it's this year, next year, whatever, the Toronto Blue Jays might become a thorn in our sides. So yeah, the AL is
Yeah.
supposed to be a cakewalk, but I don't think it's going to be. And I think every little game at this point matters. And let's not forget, like we're playing the Giants right now. The Giants are off to a historical start for their organization. Their best start since I think 2003. They started 8-1. They did have a half game lead over the Padres, who are now in first place, a game and a half ahead of them. But the NL West is dangerous, and the Padres are a very good baseball team. Or I'm
Yep.
sorry, the Giants are too, but the Giants are a
Yeah.
very good baseball team, and that's who we're playing right now. So we have to play our best baseball and show that we can compete.
That's right. We have to play in April like we would in September. Every game actually does count. It's not just something we say out of rote habit. And exactly, Sean, I was saying exactly this to Sierra before we jumped on, because Jazz has been pretty patient at the plate. And that's exactly what I've been seeing. First swing, first pitch swing, first swing. And that just hasn't been his thing. He's absolutely pressing and he's frustrated. So he needs to get some Zen mode going on um and just like get back to, I don't know what Ralston's doing. Is Ralston doing anything? But he's got some stuff to figure out. But you know what? I believe in Jazz. I think that everybody's going to have this slump and slide. It becomes more evident when a player is reliable and clutch, and that's what he's been for us. So you know what? This is our first bad moment with him. I'm giving him a little bit of grace because we know what he does and knows what he can do and will do moving forward. It was just really bad timing because we were already just so beaten down from Detroit. I might want to go to hypnosis and make it like never come back in my memory. Do reverse hypnosis. I don't want to remember the Tiger series whatsoever. But let's get to the fun stuff, and then we'll say hi to some newcomers in the chat. So we're gonna do things in reverse this week. Sierra, I don't know if you've been noticing how many times Stroman's name has been mentioned in the chat, but if there was a world record for this, Guinness would be calling us right now for this because Stroman's name is all over the map with these folks. So let's just go to who's not hot. And so we touched on Stroman here and there, but let's just get all of that out of the way and what do we really think is going to happen. The conspiracy theories abound, but they are the same, and everyone knows that probably the front office uses this as a phantom thing. So I wonder if we're really going to go from the 15-day to the 60-day to the, oh my gosh, there's another thing going on, we need more tests thing. And in the back room, they are figuring out what to do with him to have him not come back ever again.
So what you're saying is they're going to give him the Jacoby Ellsbury treatment, where he just never returns. He's there one day and he's just gone the next, and we never see him again. Um, yeah, Strowman is probably the biggest not on this list at this point. He, what was that? His third start, and every start somehow has gotten worse. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like each time he's gotten out there, he's gotten worse, and he's at the point in his career. And it's going to sound crazy that I'm saying this because I've freaking defended the guy all off season, but he's at a point in his career where you don't have swing and miss stuff, right? Everyone knows it. So you need to put up or shut up. You need to make the other team put contact on the ball and make your infield work. It's, we have the infield there for a reason. Use it to your advantage and get the ground balls because that's what you're known for. But he's not doing that, and he's giving up home runs, and I don't know, but if let's say they are phantom ILing him, hopefully they don't get caught doing that, because obviously there's penalties to that. We know teams do it, but if they get caught, there will be penalties.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm a little disappointed in Marcus Stroman right now. So yeah, he's, like I said, biggest not on this list right now.
And I'm throwing up all what everyone in the chat's throwing down here. So, and Jared's saying, and I just think Strowman just wussed out after what happened last start. Um, okay, I suck. I might as well suck consistently, Jared. Yeah, it's not what you want, Joe Girardi. So that's what's not so hot, and so then let's then go on to the not so hot. So Jazz, Sierra, I know you had some numbers on Jazz, because runner up in the chat has been Jazz, by the way.
Well, yeah. So Jazz, like I said, he's two for his last 34, and that's ever since calling the MLB fans idiots. And listen, again, I'm hashtag Team Jazz. Dave Portnoy can go step on a Lego for all I care, because I don't like that guy. So I'll continue to be Team Jazz, but he's looked bad. He has 23 strikeouts. Like I said, that leads the team right now. And when you have 8 more than the guy behind you, there's a little bit of an issue there. Now, part of me feels like he is swinging for the fences because we continue to put him in the cleanup spot, right? He does not belong in the cleanup spot. That's not where he shouldn't be there. And that's a whole nother frustration I have right now, is the inconsistency of the lineup. That's always been a frustration I've had, but it seems so much worse this season early on for some reason. Figure out who the hell your leadoff hitter is. Figure out who your cleanup hitter is, and stop freaking changing it. Like, get it together. But yeah, Jazz, I'm sorry, my guy, but you got to stop striking out.
Yeah. Figure it out. We know you'll figure it out. Michael was reminding us that, did we forget that he wasn't great in the postseason? No, but again, he's somebody, at least, I'm speaking for myself. I consider him reliable, and I really feel like he'll be back to, doing his thing. And
I give him please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. When it comes to the 2024 postseason, I'm just gonna chalk it up and give everybody we're gonna call it a wash, because if we're being realistic, the postseason outside of the bullpen, the only offensive players that showed up were Stanton, who's injured, Gleyber Torres, who's no longer on this team, and our ex-boyfriend in Queens, Soto, who is also no longer on this team. So when it comes to the postseason, I can't even talk about that right now, because none of them showed up. Like, it was just very frustrating. But with that being said, yeah, Jazz just needs to figure it out, and I'm not gonna give up on the guy, but it's been very frustrating. Next, for me at least, I have Austin Wells as a not, and not even for his offense. I mean, that needs improvement too, but He's supposedly one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. That's what I've been told. That's what everyone's saying. That's what the advanced metrics say. But when I watch him behind the plate, he looks kind of lazy. There are days where I'm like, why is he not, framing better? I got used to Jose Trevino, who was one of the best framers in baseball, and maybe
Yep.
that's what my issue is. But there's times where I feel like he could do a better job of getting his starting pitcher a strike, and he's not doing that. Or like I mentioned earlier on in the segment, when Devin Williams was pitching in Detroit, he could have did a better job at blocking the wild pitch, in my opinion. It just felt kind of lackadaisical, and not to mention after that he gets up and he doesn't like hustle to go get the ball. He was kind of slow. So to me, that was frustrating to watch because you're our everyday starting catcher. You're only 26 years old. Like that, to me, that's not okay because if that was any other young guy, if that was Dominguez, he would be getting lit up. If that was Volpe, he would be getting lit up. So I don't know about anybody else, but that just bothered me.
Yeah. And going back to Jazz for a second, so he's always been a player with pop in his bat and speed from Ken, and always been a strikeout player. Um, I didn't know that about the strikeout player. I guess I've been mesmerized by all the clutch stuff we've been seeing. I'm gonna have to look at those numbers and educate myself a bit there.
That also doesn't mean that we have to be okay with it or happy about it.
Right?
23
Yeah.
strikeouts right now, 15 games into the season. When the next guy behind you in the lineup has 15, that's insane. That's an insane amount of strikeouts.
Yep. And so in terms of what's not, we've talked about Stroh enough. I think there is so much unity between us in the chat right now when it comes to Stroh. Um, but when you look at the rotation overall, I think they're all not hot, except great to see Freed doing what he did. But Freed is really it, like with his 1.56 ERA. And kudos to Will Warren, for his first MLB win, but he's at 5.14. Rodon is at 5.19. Marcus Stroman is at 11.57. And Cookie better find a new recipe. He's at a 7.71. This is not the starting rotation numbers you want to be throwing down. This isn't even, I can't even say it's not competitive. It's it's not even minor league. It's not low A. Something's got to be figured out. And Sierra, I think we talked about this last week, and I think you had a really good point when you said, is Matt Blake ignoring the starting rotation? So much attention being paid out in the pen. But you know what? There has to be some split custody here because Matt Blake has work to do with every single one of them.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that I complained about all last year, too, is we give Matt Blake so much credit for what he does with the bullpen, rightfully so. But he also needs to work with our starting rotation because when they're doing bad, like that's on that part. It's not completely on him because yes, they are major league pitchers. But part of that is on you because that's what you were hired to do. You were hired to work with these guys to fix their issues. We hear other teams talking about the pitching lab and other things going on. The Yankees, we don't hear anything about that with the Yankees. And our whole starting rotation outside of Max Fried is falling apart right now. Something's got to give because Clark Schmidt's coming back next week, but we don't know when Luis Gil's coming back. Right now, May is like the time frame for his throwing program, but that's not guaranteed. Garrett Cole won't be in this rotation at all this season, and who friggin' knows what the Yankees are going to do at the deadline. God forbid they actually do something and get us an arm or get us a third baseman, but we all know that that's probably not going to happen. So I need Matt Blake to step it up and work with his pitching staff because between the home runs, like I don't know what it is about this staff. They love to give up home runs to nobodies and just home runs in general. Every time I turn on the TV, there's a home run being given up by somebody in the starting rotation. And to Michael's point too, the walks. They give up walks like crazy. Will Warren he reeled it in his recent start yesterday. So I was happy to see that. But there have been a lot of walks given out by this team, and they need to get it together.
Yep. So Matt Blake, if your ears are burning, this is why. So get on it, my friend. Yeah, and FJ. So see what a good win under your belt could do. So at least he's under 6 now, and look, when Schmidt is back, there's some decisions that have to be made, right? And so, who's it going to be, Cookie or Stroman or Warren? And I think right now, like, Cookie's the one that gets out of the starting rotation. And Sierra, I think we agree on that, right? We align there.
Yeah, if you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said, the Yankees love their old guys, so Cookie would be in. But after his last start and compared to Warren's last start, and the fact that they compare Warren to Clark Schmidt, I think Warren's the guy. He hasn't hit his ceiling yet, right? Like, we know, what you're going to get out of Cookie Carrasco. And, he seems like such a sweet guy. Like, so on a personal level, I feel for him. But, as a Yankees fan on the, trying to win games, it's got to be Will Warren because he's not at his ceiling yet. And there's still so much more potential for him.
Lori. Cookie is certainly no Thin Mint, especially the Thin Mint that goes in the freezer, Lori. Am I right?
Okay.
And more like stale oatmeal from your granny. Yeah, I just had to put that up because it made me chuckle.
That was funny.
All right. And Sierra, you put in the not hot base running.
Yes. Because why can't we figure out how to run the bases? Like, what is our problem? So obviously Ben Rice had, a blunder in Detroit where he got picked off at third, but also Aaron Judge looked like a little silly goose at one point on the third base line. So to me, like, you're the captain. Our fundamentals have been very lacking for the past few years. Supposedly we got rid of the guys that were causing that issue. So what is going on? Why can't we figure this out? And I think it's even more frustrating because we have speed this year. We have Ben Rice, we have Jazz, we have Volpe, we have Dominguez. So we have the ability to steal bases, but if we can't fundamentally run the bases, we're never going to be able to get away with stealing them.
Yeah. Can we chalk any of it up to how wet it's been?
I mean, yeah, but definitely. I am a firm believer that Friday's game, nobody is meant to play baseball in that type of weather. That is not baseball weather. Lacrosse, football, sure. Baseball, absolutely not. So I do think it'll improve because that was in Detroit too, where it was super cold, and I think maybe their brains weren't fully working.
Right.
But I just had to get that off my chest because the base running has been an issue for years.
And we also had been seeing a good sample size of it. Well, certainly in spring training, but at the very start of the season. And it feels so weird to say start of the season because I have to remember we're only 14 games in. Like, I feel like it should be the All-Star break next week. That's probably not a good thing to feel when it's still
because they're stressing us out right now.
Yeah, already. Like, they're not even easing us into the fear and frustration mode. So I know I confused things by flipping the script, and everyone was automatically putting in their who's hot. So I hope everyone remembers it because it would be too much for me to scroll back up on. But so let's talk about who's hot. And Sierra, this has happened once before. I think we disagree. There's one who's not that you had, and it's my first who's hot. So why don't you close out the not?
I have Cody Bellinger on there, and I get that he had a back issue. I get that he ate some bad chicken wings, so he's missed a few games. But even when he is playing outside of yesterday, I mean, defense aside, his defense is phenomenal. I'm so happy to have Cody Bellinger in our outfield, and that is one of the moves that I'm very, very much pleased with Cashman and Howe for making. At the plate, though, yesterday he looked great, but at the plate, he's looked a little lost lately. I don't know if it's because he's so squinty, because he's smoking a little too much weed. I mean, he's pull back on that, or if he's just in early season slumps. I'm a huge Cody Bellinger fan. I got to
Are
watch
you
him in
coming
Chicago.
in and out a little bit, just so you know?
Oh no. YouTube said stop slandering Cody Bellinger.
That's what it was. Censor.
I just want more out of him. That's all.
um, yeah, and I think in part that's because we got used to him real fast. He was easy to get used to because I think I said in spring training he's going to be my first jersey of the season, and I still feel that way. I feel that um, first of all we got to remember that there were some. Oh boy, yeah. I hope you're not put on the YouTube watch list. I need my partner YouTube. Don't mess with us.
I mentioned the W word and they were like, "Whoa, what is going on here?"
Lori has the theory. Too much weed leads to the munchies and bad chicken wings. It's
100%.
all coming together. So we need him to become a vegetarian and lay off the pot. Got it. And that's going to make everything all better. But the thing is, I don't think Belly needs to get all better. I think that let's remember that he did have to take a couple of games off for I think it was his lats, right? Some strain in his
His stiff back.
stiff back.
Because
Sorry,
that is the
wrong side of the
Yankee.
body.
Because that
Yeah,
is the Yankee way.
right, exactly. And sometimes it's stiff back. Like if that was Stroman, it would be stiff back the way it.
Or DJ's bad calf.
Exactly. So, but I think that he's going to come back and come back hard. I mean, look at yesterday alone. He got a triple, which brought Judge home, and then he had a go ahead single and scored twice. So going from nothing to that is pretty darn good, isn't it? So I'm going to say that that's the that's the start, and we're going to see more of it today. So I'll call him lukewarm. So that could be our negotiation, Sierra.
Okay.
Can we have lukewarm?
Yes, he can be lukewarm. Cody Bellinger, I just need more consistency. 15 games in, so I'm not gonna go crazy. I just want more consistency out of you because I want more consistency out of the 1 through 4. And like I just want to see those 4 guys consistently hit. And also I am advocating for Ben Rice to be lead off in that 1 through 4, but that's a whole other subject.
So far, working out fine. And just had to put that up, Egyptian magician. Yeah. So and that stiff back in his knee is going to land him on the 90, 100, 150-day IL. I think the writing's on the wall there. So Goldie, the Gold Glove guy has been the Gold Bat guy, beginning in Detroit and still putting it down here at home. So 2 RBIs, and you have the numbers there, Sierra, right? 14 games approaching.
So he has 19 hits, which is tied with Judge for first on this team. A lot of people, including myself, were kind of doubting Goldie coming into the season because of his age, because he was coming off of his worst season he's ever had. But I think he's putting up and he's telling us to shut up. He consistently has showed up for us,
Yeah,
and I like that.
Can't hear you again, but so he's approaching the 19 hits. His Gold Glove has been golden/platinum, and so more, please, more of that. Ciara, you want to finish?
I can try. I was gonna say outside of his offense, his glove is everything we needed at first base, and that's no shade to Rizzo. His injuries obviously kind of ruined the last 2 seasons for him. But Goldie being there for our guys over at third who are still figuring it out, like that's huge for us. And also, there's still times where Jazz and Volpe make bad throws, and I don't know if anyone else could handle it besides Gold Glove Goldie.
Right. And Michael, you bring up an excellent point there. Over 500 against lefties. And we need more of that. So he's really filling the need there with that as well. I like that new hashtag, Glory. And thank you for giving credit to who started it, but Goldie Knox. I love that. I'm going to be using that. Um, okay, and we already shouted out Rice. You know what? I think Rice is going, and they've been keeping him at DH, which I think is also a smart move. He's DH again today, I believe. A quick glance at the lineup, I think I saw that. And the perfect guy to set it up the way Judge wants it to be set up. So, not that Goldie did a bad job, but I think Goldie back down in his sweet spot is going to help with the consistency of what we've been seeing, and Rice seems equal to the task. But you know what? I'm also going to say we know what Boone does. Boone's going to do what Boone's going to do, and it'll be somebody else. But I think they'll be sticking with Rice for a minute. We've already shouted out Warren, so you know what? That kid has a solid head on his shoulders. His post game interview is everything you would want it to be in terms of what he said. And I think you mentioned it, Sierra, already, but he and Schmidt are of similar mindsets, and that's really another vote for Warren sticking in the 5 man in the starting rotation, because you keep your head on straight, you believe in yourself. Without being cocky and annoying, so that we aren't like talking about you in a bad way on the show, then you get to stick around. So really excited about what Will Warren being back and seemingly back for good. I think he's earned his spot, and that's no diss to the Cookie Monster, but he's gonna have to just bench it until they figure out what to do with him. I think. Max Fried, we've already shouted him out, but the 11K Ciara, that's total for the
That
the
was just
that was just
no, that
that
was
was
just the
the
one
game.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we can't manage our expectations. We can't expect that every game, but shows what he's got in him. We know he came knowing that he was of ace quality, and who knows how long he's going to be our ace, the way things are looking. All right. So the next one Sierra and I agree about. We agree about everyone except one or two every now and then. Um, but I just don't understand why there isn't more fanfare, pun intended, kinda, for Cabrera. You know what? Um, he has been more than decent at third base. Can we just say that? Can we just say that he has adjusted that position the way the way Jazz did? I don't think and we loaded Jazz on with praise. Cabrera's a utility guy, so essentially he doesn't have a position, right? And he has really placed himself well at third base and making difficult plays, not just powder puff um, plays. And if you still to this day, and I'm putting stats aside, if you put Peraza and Cabrera together, um, you know what? No diss to Peraza, but I think Cabrera earns that spot, and we'll get to DJ in a hot second. So cool your jets already in the chat. But I want to give some love to Cabrera because he is putting up the numbers. He's a both sided player, which we haven't been able to say about him often. And maybe that has something to do with not being an everyday player. When you're a super utility guy and you're not getting everyday play, something's got to give in terms of lack of exposure, lack of road under your wheels. So he's showing you what he could do as an everyday player. What's more valuable, especially given the depth we have at just about every position, except for the one on that little brown thing in the center of the field. Why wouldn't you give? Why wouldn't you give him that spot?
You know what I think it is so Cabrera hasn't joined the home run club yet this season, and because he's not hitting home runs or doing the big things, he gets overlooked. But he is silently getting on base, which sets up the guy behind him to potentially bring in a run. Also, Waldo has speed too, so he could potentially steal a few bases. We so for me, I love a guy like Waldo because it shouldn't be all home runs or nothing, 1 through 9, right? Like we need guys who can get on base consistently and take walks, get the small hits, play small ball, and that's what he brings for you. But not to mention, like we spoke about this before, but he's such a good teammate because he's willing to play any position. He shows up with a glove for almost every position, and he's just happy to be there. He doesn't care where you put him, and he's gonna put in the same effort whether you have him in left field, at third base, at first base, or at shortstop. Does not matter. Now, unfortunately, you and I both know that he probably won't keep this job once DJ LeMahieu slash Mr. Broken Foot comes back, but it's just it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and there's been mention of Mr. Broken toe, broken ankle, bad back. Um, he's gonna be back. I know you have the deets on that about when he starts when he's starting his rehab, right?
Yeah, he's taking live at bats this week in Tampa. So not even starting rehab yet. They're starting with live at bats. If that goes well, then he will go into. I have to laugh because I just can't even. It's just hilarious at this point. If that goes well, then he'll go into a rehab, not a rehab, into rehab games. And then we'll kind of see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. I do firmly believe that when DJ's back up and in the clubhouse, they're going to make him the third. They're gonna his first game back. He's going to be at third. He's going to start at third, and maybe it'll be a stacked position at third that game or the first few games, so that they're easing him back in. But I think I'm trying to get my mindset straight. I think they will until it becomes apparent that that they have better. And then the question will become, what happens to Peraza? Cabrera will always pivot back to just he's not going anywhere. Don't have to worry about him going anywhere. He will remain the super utility guy, even though I gave all the reasons why we don't need one at this point.
I think Peraza will be okay too for now because Pablo Reyes needs to be sent down first or DFA'd or whatever.
Oh,
yeah. Peraza, I think, is the next guy out of luck, though, because then, and we don't have to get into this right now, but then the question comes into play when Stanton comes back. What is Ben Rice is lighting the world on fire right now, but what does that mean for him if he's only playing DH right now? Because Stanton's getting his job back, they're not going to give it to him. So there's a lot of decisions the Yankees have to make moving forward when these injured players return.
Oh man, you just made things suck for me right now because there's. I don't want.
I'm wearing my Ben Rice jersey right now, so
I can't. If I have to choose between Stanton and and of course everyone I think knows by now what my choice is going to be. So that's like hashtag unfair. But Rice, they got. I don't want anyone to get hurt. So, but he's got to stay. This guy, he is a homegrown Yankee. He probably, too bad he wasn't ready at the same time. Volpe was ready, or others. Too bad we couldn't keep him the first time around because he just started sputtering. But yeah, we need Rice. Let's all think about how that could happen, and report back next week on that. All of us, including you, chat.
Your homework.
Please save Rice. Save Rice. Okay, and Schmidt, we're saying that he's going to be on the hot list. First of all, it won't be hard to make the hot list as a sample size if you're looking at the starting rotation. But he has been so hot down working things out, Sierra.
Yeah, I put him on here simply for his rehab starts. His first one looked phenomenal. His second one, he 61 pitches through 4 innings, only gave up 3 hits, zero walks, 0 earned runs. I am ready for Clark the Shark to be back. Okay, I'm ready. So a while ago, Garrett Cole had, I think it was 2 years ago, made a comment about how Clark Schmidt barks throughout the clubhouse like a dog. I'm ready for that energy, and I'm ready for that cool, that confident, like you're not going to get under my skin type of guy. Um, because maybe he can rub off on Carlos Rodon, and give him a pointer or two, and we'll get back into the swing of things. But either way, I'm here for Schmidt. I'm ready for him to get going, and we need him anyway.
Yeah, I've missed that kid. And speaking of barking, did anyone else notice that Cruz grunts like Martina Navratilova at the net when he releases a pitch, or more recently Serena Williams? That noise that comes out of his body is a little bit scary when he's releasing. You're like, oh my god, is he dying? But I'm glad he figured it out yesterday, by the way, because I really want to like Cruz. And I'm gonna end with an unrelated slash related, but really just catty um thing for this segment, just because it's fun. Um, so here are the numbers currently when you compare our hot to our former hot. Anybody surprised by this? And it's kind of harsh when you see it in writing like this, right? So yeah, exactly, Jordan. So I just thought, yeah, I'm being mean right now. But I already confessed, and everybody embraced me anyway, that I was not sad to see Soto go. And gee, do we want to rethink that generational player thing? I'm not so sure. Jordan, I think they were complaining about him like the first game. Like, so yeah, there's fan remorse. And then I don't know about buyer's remorse. And you know what? Maybe he's just adjusting. I'm gonna give him some grace. But I just want to celebrate this particular moment because I could be like that sometimes. All right. So, all right, let's go down the laundry list.
Oh my god. It never ends. I mean, Stroman was just put on the IL supposedly for 15 days.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they've talked about the images back yet, but there's that. And then of course Clark Schmidt is coming off the IL. We're very excited for that. He'll be pitching Wednesday versus the Royals. So yeah.
We talked about DJ. Oh, okay. Sierra's frozen, so I'll continue for now. Sierra, yeah, okay. I think she knows she's frozen. So
I quit.
I hear you, but okay, no, you're fine, Sierra. All right. So let me just tell you, we have so Tyler Matzek's been out, but he's about to come back at the end of April. So he should be starting rehab soon. Johnny Lowe, we all know about. He did toss a bullpen yesterday, but he's still on the table for about May, early June. Efros again, Ellsbury, Efros, Scott Ellsbury. Is he had yet another hamstring setback. So now, still no timetable for him. And Jay Cousins is expected May 26th. I don't know why they're being so specific about that, by the way, but if his throwing program goes well, May 26th seems to be the date.
I like
Okay.
it.
So let's talk about what's next for a second. Michael, so here's the I'm going to get to Michael, your comment in a second from way early up. So here's today's lineup. I think we, basically covered this already. So I'm glad to see Cabrera at third base. And there we have it. So we moved Jazz up in the order. I'm not so sure how I feel about that, given everything that we said. I would have switched at the very least. I would have switched Dominguez with Jazz.
Yeah.
Dominguez has had a pretty good series so far. So, but and we're giving Wells the day off. So, Rodon and Ascara will be the pair there. So that's what we got. That's what we're gonna get, and hopefully that's what's gonna get us the win. Here's the matchup today, and so Logan Webb, he doesn't play around. So um yeah, so they're right at the same mark. I'm like, oh look, my first glance, I'm like, oh wow, exactly matched for the last three appearances, but nope. Then you look at the fine print and you're like, oh boy, all right, well, that's why they have to make me read the fine print because I never want to read. That's where all the bad stuff is. So what do we? Yeah, yikes is right, Jared. So look, let's all just say a silent prayer, even if you're not the praying kind. There's two kinds of Rodon. We've seen them both. Let's see the one. Let's see the one that is the one that came down from the mountains, all healed and cured 2 years ago. But whatever. Um,
If not, can we send him back to the mountains
yeah.
because
Look,
it's getting a
I'll
little much.
I'll start a GoFundMe. And you know what it means, especially with Rotan on the mound, is those bats got to do what they were doing yesterday, but even more so. We gotta be on the attack and on the offense because you never know what you're gonna get with that box of chocolates. So, the bats gotta do their thing. And then of course, looking ahead, so we got the Royals for the next three games, and then we're back against the Rays.
I think we have them for 4, right? Because I don't
Oh,
think we're
four.
off
That's
tomorrow.
right. Yep.
Yeah, we don't get an off day for a while, so we need everyone to kind
Yeah,
of lock in.
we're in the middle of like a 13 game run.
Yeah.
So they're going to be tired. But this is where they better use that clubhouse and all those special beds you got there. Rest up in between, guys. We need you. So,
The nap room.
um, what'd you say?
The nap room that they used to use for Domingo Herman when he was hungover.
Yeah, the Memorial Domingo Herman nap room sounds great. I need one. All right, so let's get to the answer. The usual trivia whizzes had the answer, and heard a lot of people say, "Oh, that one was easy." Not so much if you weren't around, and you know what? If let's see. I'm not going to call out who said it because I don't remember who said it, but I wouldn't know because I'm too young to remember. That's why you got to join our next show on Monday, April 24th for New York Yankees history and heroes, because then you'll know things like this. You'll be able to say, "Oh, I was born in 1976. How would I know that?" You would know that if you start really learning about Yankees history, like Spencer does. Okay, so um, the Giants being in the Bronx this weekend, bad memory. Bobby Mercer uh, was traded to the Giants for this player. And yes, you got it correctly, Bobby Bonds. And Bobby Bonds, if the name sounds familiar, it's because he's the father of controversial home run king Barry Bonds, who, by the way, is was the favorite player of Aaron Judge growing up. Everyone knows that Judge grew up in the Bay Area. So there you have it, Spencer. As always, um, thank you for the trivia question every week. We appreciate you for that. And I already shouted this out, but a week from this Monday on the 24th, please join us live at 8 p.m. on YouTube for our second episode. Thanks to everyone who joined the first time around. We're excited about the next one, and we hope you'll be excited about it too. Um, Sierra, Lori says that now she wants pizza and she blames you.
I'll take
All
that
right.
blame. That's okay.
So, and as always, please tell your friends. Sharing is caring. Follow the guys. You all do. If you're not, what are you even doing in your mornings? Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with Tats, Rob, and Donald. And as always, we have a reserve seat right here on the upper deck every Sunday. So let's go win that rubber game. Go Yankees!